Welcome everyone. Beautiful evening. Tonight we're going to reconnect with the source of our enlightenment. For the last several weeks we've been learning about the keys of knowledge, and tonight we're going to talk about who gave us those keys. So it's the Supreme Soul who catches and guides us when we detach. And over the last several weeks we've learned about all the many ways we detach. Before we begin, for those of you who are new, on the right hand side there's, if you go through the curtains, there's a restroom on the right. Please turn off your cell phones, make sure they're turned off. And let's see, we have a bookstore on the right, and there's all kinds of great things there. There's in particular, there's a red light that you can plug in at home that has a teeny tiny hole in it that you can focus on when you meditate at home. So it's very nice to have that. So one thing I wanted to say before we begin is that I think you've all seen how the space has grown over the last, year and a half since I've been here, but probably over many years. The outside is gradually developing. We finished a kitchen in the back room that is for welcoming all of you afterwards. And we have a bookstore, and we have lots more people coming. And so I want to tell you that because this is all free, for me, I'm very happy to give of my time. And we need to have donations, and remember that as often as you donate to Baba, you receive it back then threefold. And I just want to share a little story that happened when I first came to Baba here. I had a car that had an accident, and it was at the dealership up on a rack. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how much this is going to cost. And I got a call that weekend from the dealership saying, we're looking for cars of this particular brand and year, and we'll buy them back and give you a new car and keep the payments the same. And I thought, no, come on. And I told my husband, he said, no. And so I said, okay, I'll put you on the phone with them. And so he got on the phone, and he said, I think it's real. And so we went down, and very shortly that day, I drove away with a new car. And as we finished the deal, and I went to my old car to get my things out of the trunk, he said, boy, it's a good thing you did this because this car was totaled. So I had no idea. And so that's what I mean. It was amazing. It came back threefold. So whatever is in your heart, Baba appreciates your help, your support.
You mentioned that the day before that you worked on the walkway basement. You worked on that?
The walkway, you mean, the brick walkway?
Yeah, brick walk.
Yeah, the day prior to that, I guess the whole day you were trying to fix that brick walkway.
Oh, there's a hill besides Brahma's center that has a long stairway, I'm sure you all know. And some of the bricks were a little loose, so we got some cement and fixed them. So I think that was my first bit of service. And then it moved on to weeding, which I thoroughly enjoy. Weeding is like meditation for me.
And pruning.
And pruning. So anyway, thank you very much for being here tonight. And I'd like to turn this over now to Shivratri and Kanishta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start with a couple of minutes of deep silence. Om Shanti. It's interesting that even silence can be of various types. Different qualities can be added to silence to create a different experience of silence. I know you have heard of the phrase pin drop silence. Right? Silence so deep, so intense that if somebody drops a pin at one corner of the room, you can hear it. How about dead silence? How about deep silence? How about sweet silence? So the silence when you come into the Brahma Kumaris meditation center, this is what I felt. 19 years back, January 2000, when I went into the meditation space that was created in India, the experience of silence was totally different. I'd never experienced anything like this before. And I'm sure you can feel the difference right now in this silence versus silence when you, I don't know, go somewhere up in the mountain or something. This silence is different. And actually, we can talk more in a little bit, but there is a lot of things that happen in this silence. It's a silence where it's not like we are switching ourselves off. Actually, we are switching ourselves on. And a whole lot of machinery then begins to work in our making that transformation that we want to see in ourselves. Silence is the most important medium to channel energy to create the transformation that you want. And you're welcome to experience it anytime you want. As I've mentioned in these past 4 years, sorry, not 4 years, maybe more than 4 years now, right? This space?
6 years.
6 years, right, I'm sorry. So in these 6 years, so much has transpired. So many people have walked into these doors and experienced silence. And I, like last time I was saying, that this silence that I'm experiencing right now, which you're experiencing right now as well, is a contribution of everyone who has walked into this space, not just us. So my heartfelt thank you for your contribution. And today too, as we are generating this energy of silence, this is going to carry forward for other people, right? It's going to linger on. You know, when somebody uses a very strong perfume, in that space, the smell or the perfume lingers on. It's like that. The silence that you're creating, this energy that is being created right now, is going to linger on for quite a while. for all of us to experience. So congratulations. When you come back next time, you'll find your own energy helping you experience a deeper level of silence as well. So anyways, we have had quite a bit of new experiences as we have explored different dimensions of detachment, different ways to create. By the way, before I start, I was just wondering, is it okay to have the fans on? Suddenly it felt really hot, that's why we switched it on. But if you feel nice, yeah, if you feel that AC should be switched on, we can do that. Please do let us know. Nobody should be uncomfortable. Any little bit of uncomfort, just raise your hands. We'll change the temperature for you. So in the Enlightenment series, we have learned ourselves quite a bit in these conversations, and people also on this journey, I'm sure, have gotten quite a bit. And today by the way, this is not the last session of the Enlightenment. We'll continue from awakening to enlightenment, and I'm sure there is some light getting brighter and brighter within us. Yeah, agree? Those who have attended these in the past, the light is getting bigger, the glow. So we'll continue this journey. But
This is the age of enlightenment.
yeah,
So it is never going to stop.
the era of enlightenment. I like to look at it as the era, the dark era, this era, this is the era of enlightenment. So I was thinking, and I liked how you started this, that we have gotten these keys to be enlightened from somewhere. We didn't come up with these. And so it's important for us also to share where we got this from, the source of this enlightenment, the source of these keys. So you too can connect to that source to receive your enlightenment as well. The keys which work for me, the keys which work for Kanishta, the keys which work for Debbie, Candy, others may not work for you. Your key could be different. So you can receive your key from that source. All right. And so today we're going to talk about the spiritual significance of God Himself. How does that sound? God Himself. So before we start, also I was wondering if anybody has anything to say, any questions, any.
And how many of you are new today? I can
Let's
see
see.
two of you.
Yeah, and we have people from Atlanta as well. Actually, this brother is originally from Boston, but now has come, and this brother from India, from Gujarat, that has come here. So wonderful! It's always nice to see new faces, and more people are on their way. Actually, they're running late. They're coming from Atlanta. They're running late, so hopefully we'll see them soon. All right, so let's dive deep in.
He has some question, I think.
Sure. Yes,
Not a
sir.
question, it's just something that it's so pleasant when I come here. You give little nuggets that just smack me right
Oh,
in
sweet, oh,
the
sweet.
forehead.
So sweet.
And the little things that they're just so simple. So, for
Mm.
instance, when you said that we are faucets to
Mm.
Baba, that was fantastic.
Mm.
I have had the opportunity to speak to other people from the family about being a faucet. I actually said, now my sprinkler, I'll just get everybody
Yeah.
just drenched in Baba's love. But today you said something that's already my golden nugget to take home today. Sweet silence. And I know I am a soul, and as a soul, what's characteristic is silence. So I know, and I'm quiet in my mind. But to me, up to this point, the idea was that's my challenge, that's what I have to work on.
Uh-huh.
And it completely changed the perspective when you say, sweet
Sweet silence. Thank you.
It's no longer work. It's no longer
Yeah.
something that you have to strive for.
Yeah.
You just wish for it. You
Yeah.
don't need to strive. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. I must say, I've rarely come across someone who listens so intently as you. Seriously, so intently. And I don't even remember sometimes what I've said, and then you will tell me, like when we were having dinner that day, you said about leaky faucet actually, right? That I had
Yes.
talked about being leaky, and so yeah, wonderful. All right, so as we dive deep into it, then we look forward to any questions if you have, because this is a journey that we're going to navigate together. We'll explore more things during this hour, hour and a half. But also, I wanted to let you know that there's a nice cake at the end for all of us, some little bit of dinner time for all of us to enjoy. So unless you are in a rush, if you can stay till the end, that would be great. So, we were wanting to talk about the.
Yeah, there's water at the back.
If you
Somebody
like
wants-
water, if you want anything else, like you have cinnamon or something, I don't know. He said, you got it? Oh, you have it all. Huh? You have come well prepared. Wonderful. So, the aspect about God. I wanted to start by saying that the God that we are trying to explore for all of us together is not the God that sometimes we have understood as the God of religion who segregates, creates barriers, creates separations, right? But the all encompassing, the one God who is ever benevolent, ever kind, ever loving, that has no religion, no culture, no color, no name truly, no real name, but there is a name. But that one supreme energy that always bestows is what we are going to explore. And I wanted to ask you to help us understand is this phase, this time. Actually, one of these days, this weekend is going to be the Shivratri, right? When is it? Tomorrow. So Shivratri is the festival that is celebrated in India as the birthday of Shiva, but it also it kind of translates into birth night of Shiva. So can you help us understand what is this birth night thing? Yeah.
It's interesting whenever anyone is born, even if the person is born at the night time, we say that it's birthday. We never say it's birth night, right? But when we celebrate this festival of Shivratri, then there are two words here, Shiv and Ratri. So Shiv means world benefactor, and Ratri means night. So this word Shivratri has very deep, significant meaning to it. Actually, it is not about the day and night of a single 24-hour. It's not about that, but it is about that time in the cycle, in the human life cycle, the world cycle, when the world is really going through a lot of, we can say that dark time. It is said dark time of the soul, so maybe the dark time of the world. And if we look around in today's world, what do we see? There is darkness everywhere. And there is so much violence going on. There is so much irreligiousness, so much peacelessness, so much unrest. People are in pain. People are suffering so much. So this is the darkest time, actually, not as dark, but this is the darkest time. So at this time, it is said that when there is extreme irreligiousness and there is extreme unrighteousness, then God has actually guaranteed that He will come. So this is actually that time when God descends and He enlightens the souls of this world, the human world, the whole world, so that we get that enlightenment from God. The enlightenment in that way, in that sense, that we all are now actually, have forgotten our real identity. The darkness means the darkness of ignorance. In the sense that we don't know who we are. And because we don't know who we are, we have also forgotten who God is. So this is the time of the confluence. We say that this is the confluence of the soul and the Supreme Soul. That means the meeting of the soul and the Supreme Soul when we come to know our relationship with the divine energy, who He is and who we are. And God has to come down because He is the only one who can bring about the transformation. When we look around, everyone is talking about destruction, right? Why? Because there is so much unrest. People don't want to stay in this world, right? So when we talk about destruction, it is not about the destruction of the world, but it is actually the destruction of the evils. We are actually frustrated with the evils that we see around us. Somebody is getting angry, somebody is getting upset, somebody is getting irritable, and then we also get affected by that. Because because the soul has become so sick. The original purity of the soul is lost. So this is the time of the conference when the divine energy comes and enlightens the souls. And the message that we get from that divine source is that now is the time for us to connect with who truly we are. Because we really speaking, we all are souls. But we have forgotten that we are souls. If we look around, we see that there is so much of materialism in today's world. That spirituality is lost. And because that spirituality is lost, we say that this is the dark time that we are going through. And this festival is very interesting, because this festival happens at that time when it is the darkest. If you look at the sky, the moon, the light of the moon becomes really very, almost about, we can say that it's zero. So that is the time when this festival is celebrated, when it is dark everywhere. And after darkness, what comes? Light. So
Isn't it, that's very interesting. Isn't it also the shortest night or something like that, or longest night?
Yeah, longest,
This is the longest
night. Longest night.
So tomorrow will be the longest night of the year. And
Right.
so then after that, the day after that, then the night becomes shorter and shorter, right?
Right. So the good news is that the day is about to come. The dawn is about to come.
The light is about to get switched on.
Right.
Yeah. And it is already switching on.
That's why we see that so many people are now getting this awareness, this enlightenment. So much is going on. On one hand, we see both extremes actually. So many people are going on this side, becoming more and more materialistic. But there are some who are really going into spirituality. They are feeling that some force is there. That we want to know what's happening. Who is the one who is the one who can tell us the truth? People are actually searching for that.
Yeah, I was very intrigued by one of the people who comes at the UU church, and you were doing the session with them, and she was sharing that she has some medical illness and she had a near-death experience,
Yeah.
right? And so at that time she had that feeling of leaving this physical existence and meeting some very beautiful light. And she said the light had the color exactly like this golden red light. And it is so interesting. And that's why when she came last time, she was upset that this light is now fused. She wanted to say, why is this light off? So I said, I'll have to fix it. It needs an LED light. So, because she said, I can relate to this because I saw exactly this light, the same color. That's so
And the
interesting.
first day when she entered this space, she was so delighted because then she recognized that this is what she saw actually in 1980s.
So she's been searching ever
She
since
has been
then.
searching for that light for so long. And now she's so happy that eventually she got here.
So we have learned a lot from these near-death experiences of people too, and of people meeting some energy, right? And people always have different names and different ways they describe God, but when they have these experiences, they all talk about that one light, one energy, and so tell us a little bit about that if you can.
So if we say that God, God, right? But this has a beautiful meaning to it. How God comes, and God not only brings about this enlightenment, but He brings about the transformation in the world. So He carries out this transformation through three beings. G stands for
Three
generator.
energies,
Three
I guess.
energies, or you can say three energies.
Yeah.
So G for generator, O for operator, and D for destroyer. So he generates this world through Brahma. You must have heard of this word, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar. We heard of this?
Mhm.
So he generates the beautiful energy through Brahma by giving the knowledge, the true knowledge, the wisdom, the truth, the reality, like who we are, all the things that we have been discussing for so long, for the past 4 weeks, 6 weeks. And then sustenance through Vishnu. Vishnu, have you seen the picture of Vishnu? Vishnu is shown with 4 arms. So the 4 arms actually they stand for the two masculine and feminine energies. So world will become one when both the energies, masculine and feminine energies, they are together. And with one head means one direction. They follow one direction, and then both the energies they combine together. So there has to be harmony. Only when there is harmony, then that new world will come. So sustenance through Vishnu and destruction through Shankar. Shankar means that energy that helps to destroy the evils that are inside each one of us. So God is actually, he is called as the creator. So he is creating that beautiful world through these 3, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar.
But okay, thank you. But I was wanting to go back to the question, if you remember, where I was talking about this all-encompassing God who loves, gives happiness.
Yeah, so definitely, because God is the only one who can give us what we are looking for. Everyone in this world is looking for peace, love, and happiness. These are the 3 main things people look for. But they don't get these 3 in any shop. They cannot go and tell, let me get 1 kg of love, 1 pound of peace. No, right? There is no shop where you can have all these. But the beauty is that when we connect with God, He is the ocean. He is the ocean of peace. He is the ocean of love. He is the ocean of happiness, ocean of light. Everything, whatever you are looking for, you can get from that one God. So this is the reason why we call God as the ocean, because His stock is unlimited, never ending, never going to end. Our stock is very limited. We run out of peace very fast, very quickly. Somebody comes and says something to us, and we become angry or upset. There is no patience. But God is the ocean of patience. He will never get angry with us. Usually, they say that, very interesting, there is one ritual that they do on the occasion of Shivratri. They actually not on the occasion of Shivratri, but it is there in any Shiva temple. When you see, there is a ling, the Shiva ling, there's the image of Shiva, and then there is one pot that is hanging up there, and from that pot, drop by drop, the water trickles down. And it is said that, this water is trickling down so that God remains cool all the time. But it is not that God is going to become angry, right? God never becomes angry. So that drop by drop, that they do, that kind of ritual. That what does that represent? That represents that every drop, every thought, that drop corresponds to our thought. Every thought that we create should be such that it is as if, that thought we are offering it to God. So that thought has to be very cool, right? Divine.
Very elevated.
Elevated, yeah. Pure thought. Because when so this is the one ritual. Another ritual that they do is they offer milk also, So milk represents that purity of thoughts. So what we have to give it to God is our pure thoughts. And there is another thing that people do on that occasion, that they also offer this wildflower. Usually, when people go to the temple, they take fragrant flowers to offer it to the deities over there, roses and all those flowers. But when they go to Shiva temple, they offer wild flower.
Oh,
And that wild flower, nobody actually grows them. They are in the wild and they just grow, and then people pick them up and they offer it to God. And also along with that, there is another thing that they offer that is called as dhatura. Dhatura, that is also that is considered to be very poisonous. It's poisonous. So that also they offer it to God.
is that a plant?
It's a fruit. Yes, a plant. Yeah.
Yeah. So that represents that when we are offering, then we have to offer all the poison that we are holding on to inside. The poisons in the form of vices, lust, greed, attachment, anger, ego. These are the poisons that we all have. So on one
Can we
hand,
say that all these poisons are because of body consciousness? Because I wanted to,
Mhm.
we're going too deep straight away. I just thought that we can slow down a little bit and kind of talk a little bit about this body consciousness versus soul consciousness, and can we say that these vices are really about body consciousness?
Yeah, sure.
And the understanding that we are souls has kind of slipped out of the windows, right? And the truth has gone away, and therefore the darkness of ignorance has set in.
Right. So this is this is the darkness that we are talking about, right? The darkness of ignorance, in the sense that we have lost our original identity. We truly are spiritual beings, but we have become, over time, we have become body conscious. And because of body consciousness, we have all these poisons inside.
And this is what we have to offer to God.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so what will God do with it?
What do you think? What will God do with it?
Purify, take it from you, purify.
Well, are we ready to give it?
We think we are sometimes, and then we get caught up in this world again. So
Then we take it back from them.
We start building a negative karma account.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the ability to give it freely, surrender all the negativity to God. Yeah. But I was also thinking, before we even go into the rituals, sort of, I was thinking the God concept, is it's still sort of a concept for people, and I was hoping that we can together explore how this can really become a reality for us. Yes. You see, is that making sense? Because on one hand, there is so much information out there, and as we are born, we most of the times are born into a religion, sort of, as the parents and family and all that, and we might change all this, and we read so much, and then there's so many different interpretations of God, and so many different names of God, and so many different forms of God, and I was just thinking that, and at the same time, it almost seems like some, I don't know, nebulous energy somewhere out there, and kind of becomes very difficult to relate to. And I was hoping that, do you feel that too sometimes? Are you able to relate to God? Are you able to truly experience or understand God, right? I was thinking we first spend some time on that.
Sure. Because for God, it is said that there is a beautiful phrase that we say, Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Have you heard of that? Satyam means God is truth. Shiva means God is world benefactor. And Sundaram means God is beautiful. So God is the only one who can tell us the truth. And the truth that He reveals to us is that just like we are souls, He is also a soul. Because we are His children.
Yeah, you.
During my early times of exploring spirituality, I've also heard back in India that uh, God, as you said, Satyam Shivam Sundaram, it is also said that it's Sat Chit Anand.
Yes.
So when you were trying to share about Sat part, that is the truthness, and how the world benefactor things comes into play, that Chit word, kinds of hold with me, and that the second part is Anand. So I guess you can shed light on that how I can experience that Chit. I can feel, because when you were sharing about reality, Chit, I guess to some sense refers to the reality, where it has life to it, and then only I can explore further. So it would be good if you can just go on that path, and also because you shared that phrase, I
Yeah.
also would like that if that goes parallel with this or not.
Yeah, good. Yeah, we will. Yeah, that's a good
That's
idea.
beautiful, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for that question. Yeah, so Satyam Shivam Sundaram and Sat Chit Anand. So he's truth and he's the living form.
Living
Chit, living being.
Yeah.
The
And also he is the
Chit
one
means
who's
consciousness in a way, right? And then
the living being, and also he is the blissful one. Anand means he is the blissful one.
so it's almost like I, what I see is that these different interpretations of God is in a way human intellect working, right? It's almost like somebody a little smarter than someone else comes up with a story, and others listen to it, and so on and so forth, and then that becomes the truth. And I was thinking, how about that example that I was thinking of sharing this example of, say, six blind people, and there is a big elephant.
That's where everyone knows, right? The story of six blind, no?
Yeah, I'm sure. No? No? So, anyways, all right. So these blind people go to an elephant, and one of them touches the leg. Said, "Oh, elephant probably is like a pillar." And the other one goes around and touches the tail. Says, "This is like a rope." Right? The another guy goes and touches the trunk. It says it looks like a horse or something, right? And then one climbs up and touches the ears. Oh, elephant is like a fan. But each one is kind of, and you can make many more parts to it, but making the long story short is basically that everyone has their own interpretation because of the limited ability to see. So
And everyone is right
everyone is
in
right.
his own way. Everyone is right in his own way. Right?
Yeah, so we respect everybody's understanding, but so that light, if you will, that if there is limited light, I'm not saying there's total darkness, I don't mean to say that, and there is really because of the inner darkness of negativity, but if there is a little bit of light and you see only small part of the picture, then you feel that is the picture. But only when you have the ability to see the bigger picture, and that comes when there is true light coming from somewhere. And where would that true light come from? God Himself. And I remember long
Because God is up there, He can see the bigger picture.
bigger picture. And I remember long back when I when I learned this meditation, at that time somebody had mentioned this that um, when you are trying to for a moment I lost my thought, but just a moment, give me a moment. There was a very beautiful thing that was shared, and I just am losing out on that. But maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe it'll come back. Hopefully, all right. But so God is the most unlimited light, right? Yes, I remember that. So, say for example, each one has a certain understanding of the other one, right? I, for example, if you all know me, for example. Many people know me. And if I ask you all to describe about me, you will give me your interpretation of me. But who can give my most accurate interpretation of me, myself, right? My introduction of who I am, what I do, what I eat, when do I go to bed, and so on and so forth. Everything 100% accurate would be me. Similarly, we may have our own interpretation of God, but who can give God's interpretation the best? It's God Himself.
And this is the reason why he's called Swambhu, Shambhu. There is one name that has been given to God, that is Shambhu. That means he himself comes down to tell who he is.
And there's one more name, Khuda.
Yeah, Khuda.
Yeah.
Khuda
Have you heard
means-
of that? Khuda?
Khuda?
That means Khud. That means he himself
comes to tell who he is.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a point. You're saying that the person who can make the most accurate description as to who you are is yourself. And even then, I beg to differ, because I've been thinking about it. When you talk to someone who is going through some process, emotional, intellectual, whatever it is, and you say something that affects that person to the point that it changes the way that person interacts with other people,
Mhm.
and telescopes and progresses, even you are not aware of the effect that you have
Yeah.
on other people.
Right.
So if someone were to ask me, so who's Shaitan? He's the one who taught me sweet silence
Mhm.
and leaky faucet and
Mhm.
many other things that affect my life in a positive manner.
Yeah.
And you may not know that.
That's true.
So even when you describe yourself, you're still not the most accurate one.
100% right. Yeah, very good. Yeah, good. Yeah. But at least I will know myself more than others.
True.
But still, I won't know myself 100%. That's what. There's some energy that knows me more than I know myself,
Yes.
and that's God.
Yes.
So God is that entity who knows about Himself 100%, who knows about me and you 100%, and as well as that, He tells us what is our true purpose in life. Because that's something that we have gotten quite deranged on, right?
And this is the reason, another meaning of Shiva is seed. And seed, as we know, that seed has all the information.
Mhm.
So God is the one who has all the information about himself, about us, and about the whole world.
The whole human tree, if you will.
Yeah.
Shiv Baba, they call innocent Lord.
Yeah.
So we're
Bholanat.
going to come to that, the different names sort of, and what that means. And so thank you for saying that too.
Yeah.
And so
So yeah, he's called as innocent Lord, Bholanath, because I had already told you the reason for that. Because what we give to him is all the toxins. And he's taking all the toxins from us. And in return, what we are getting is
Knowledge.
the inheritance of love, peace, happiness, wisdom, everything.
Mhm.
So what we are giving and what he is giving. So he's so innocent. Right?
So I wanted to go back to that initial thing. So we have now understood a little bit about God, that God is the only one who can give his own introduction, and therefore he comes and does that, and he tells us that he is the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, the ocean of all energies, the most benevolent being, the highest, the most elevated, the most auspicious, and one who never gets defiled, who never gets into this birth and death kind of an experience, and remains kind of up, and therefore can guide everyone else. And I was thinking, once we've understood this, it still for many of us remains like some abstract thing, or something that creates fear on one side, creates awe on the other side. And I was thinking that is something we could explore for a few minutes, right? Because there's a lot of fear that God will punish, and if I do this and this, God won't.
Because of the lack of true knowledge, we don't have the knowledge, and this is the reason it is said that we are in darkness. So there is a beautiful phrase, it says, Gyan Surya Pragata Agyan Andher Vinash. That means when the sun of knowledge rises, then the darkness of ignorance is dispelled. So when God comes and God tells us about the truth,
That He is not punishing.
yeah, He's not
that-
punishing who He is. He tells
Yeah.
us that He is the ocean of love. He is not the
Despite
one.
whatever mistakes I make, despite whatever weaknesses I have, He
Right.
loves me unconditionally. He
Mhm.
accepts me as I am,
Yeah,
right? And so I don't have to fear, I don't have to um, feel being judged in His company.
right.
On the other hand, it almost is like a mirror effect that I can see myself clearly,
Mhm.
but I don't feel judged.
Right. It is said that God created us in His own image. Right? So we are His image actually. So God is love, so we are also beings of love. God is, because we had actually forgotten ourselves. We are loving beings, we are peaceful beings. Because we have been created by in the image of God.
Yeah.
And God is the one
Yeah.
who is,
Because
you know,
that's why, what happens is people think that God punishes, so now we are entitled to punish others too. We feel that,
Yeah.
if God can do that, we
Mhm.
should do that too. So God never punishes.
never punishes.
God always loves
Right.
and loves unconditionally. Yeah. And so this is getting clearer, right? Now.
Do you have any question we were raising?
It wasn't a question, it was a statement,
Uh-huh.
if that's okay.
Sure.
So you spoke of fear,
Yeah.
people having the fear. For me, coming from Christianity, more in, leaving Christianity, coming into spirituality,
Yeah.
I've since learned that the fear came from because I was told God was up there,
Mhm.
and not that God was within me,
Mhm.
and that I am God.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You're God, we're all God.
Yeah.
And so once you take that in, then you're not fearful of yourself.
Yeah.
You
Very
begin
nice.
to learn yourself
Yeah.
in a different thought process.
Wonderful.
I
Very good. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I was going to say that was the next thought that was coming in my mind, and I was thinking that instead of this energy up somewhere far, far away, sort of, and how do we see if we can relate to God like a relationship, like a living relationship? Because God is the living form,
Mm-hmm.
I am a living form. How can I now
Yeah.
develop a living relationship
Right.
with God?
So we have to, first of all, we have to tune our frequency with God's frequency. Then only we will be able to relate it to Him. Right? If our frequency is very low, and the frequency gets low because of body consciousness. This body consciousness, brings us down. And we are not able to reach to that high level of frequency that God has, because God's energy is very pure. So if I want to relate to Him, then I have to make effort to bring my level to His level, right? Because God is pure energy, and the how to bring my energy to that level, that method that we use is getting rid of this body consciousness and becoming aware, turning on that switch that I am a soul. Forgetting about anything about this physical world and bringing our awareness to the soul that I am. So that is actually the first step, that I need to stabilize myself in this awareness that I am that pure being. Just like God is a pure being, I too am a pure being. Unless I tune into this frequency, I won't be able to relate to that high energy.
So that's what Raj Yoga is about, right? Raja Yoga is this connection, but it's more than just a connection. But since you have talked about connection, we could talk about connection first and then the relationship.
Because we are connected to, so many people. but we are related to only few people.
And
Right?
relationship helps in having that experience.
Experience, yeah. When you are related to someone, then you feel more close to that person, right? Similarly, if we, instead of making connection with God, if we cultivate that relationship with God, then
Yes.
we.
So before that, let's talk about connection. Just a moment.
Mhm.
So connection. So you talked about you as a soul, and the supreme soul as the
Mhm.
soul too. Of course, energy. So it's the energy, two energies connecting,
Yeah.
right? And so uh, I like to look at it as, say, a cell phone charging,
Mhm.
right? Or say a battery that has to be charged, a car battery that has gotten dead or almost
Yes.
dead. It's not really doing anything. And you take wires and you connect these wires to the mains, to the power outlet, and let the energy flow. But there's a little preparation that is needed, right?
Mhm.
Which you were saying that you see yourself as a soul. So if we do not,
You have to get rid of that rubber.
yeah,
If you want to
the
connect the two wires, then you have to get rid of rubber.
yeah.
Then only though you can, connect the two wires.
So it's a metal to metal connection, and
Yeah.
this
And then
rubber
the electricity will start to flow.
flow, yeah,
So the flow of current from God start.
can happen only when I sort of free myself from this rubber of the body consciousness. That I am a soul,
Mhm.
and God, the Supreme Soul, is a soul. Instead of looking at Him as a physical form, like a body form, as we have been doing for so long,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes even messengers of God have been looked at as God, or God men as God, and sometimes even animals in some cultures as God, and even stones as God. And so instead of any physical form, seeing God as this point of light, point of energy, just pure energy, pure consciousness, me as pure consciousness, will help me get rid of the rubber and energy to flow.
And that is why they have that lingam, why they call as Jyotirlingam. Jyoti means light and Ling means the symbol. So that is actually the symbol of light,
Mhm.
that lingam. When people
This-
go to worship
Yeah,
the
in
image
other words,
of.
it's non-physical sort of.
Yeah,
It's
because
not
they
real
have to
form.
have something to worship. That's why, they have that oval shaped image of God Shiva.
Yeah.
And that oval shape image is also because, when you light a candle, then it takes that form, oval form. So that's why, this is how people worship, that image, so that they get a sense of. But they just worship it without knowing what they are doing.
Yeah. So then when we connect and this flow of energy is happening, what else happens in that connection? I was thinking we can explore that.
Mhm.
There's recharging, like the battery gets recharged and
Yeah.
therefore can be
Yeah, so the soul
useful.
soul gets the power. Basically, nowadays the soul has become so weak. It has lost the power. So we have to charge ourselves. That's why we say that his energy is like a powerhouse.
Mhm.
When I connect with his energy, then instantly I begin to feel the power. And when I have the power, then I'll be able to do anything in life. That power I can use, to run this body and to do anything.
And to move forward in my mission.
Yeah,
if
whatever
will,
you want
the
in life.
purpose
Right.
of life. Because sometimes I know for all of us there is some noise, some sound, some
Mhm.
voice that tells us what is my purpose, but often don't have the energy to move along that purpose.
Yeah.
And so that will give us.
Yeah, so when you make that connection, then you get a lot out of it. Not just the power, and actually the power. There are so many different types of powers that we talk about in Raj Yoga meditation. Power to discern, power to judge, power to, pack up, power to cooperate. There's so many powers. So once I make that connection, I start to, you know, get those powers that once upon a time the soul had. Actually, we had lost that power over time. So now is the time for us to recharge and regain that lost power that we had.
So is
So we are reclaiming our lost power.
and lost power and therefore lost sovereignty.
Yeah, lost sovereignty.
Yeah, that the soul is now under the influence of the physical senses, the body, and the world out there. Rather, is the soul that's the master, that's the king, and the sense organs are merely kind of instruments.
Instruments, yeah.
Yeah. Mm. So the soul needs to regain that control. So the eyes don't see what they don't need to see, the ears don't hear what they don't need to hear, and the mouth doesn't speak what it shouldn't speak, and so on and so forth, right? That's what it is.
It will
right?
speak only sweet things.
Yeah. I was also
No
thinking of
bitterness.
this connection as almonds being soaked in water and how they swell up. And I was just thinking that kind of process as when we connect to God,
Right.
we soak in
Yeah.
His energy.
There is a process in physics that is called as osmosis. Everybody has heard that, right? So in that process, water flows from the place of high concentration to the place of low concentration. So this is the process that happens when we make that connection, because He is the ocean. So there is more water over there, in that
More
sense.
peace, more love.
Peace, more love, and then here we are, empty,
Kind of
dry, kind of dry, right? So when we make connection, then His energy starts to flow towards us.
We swell up.
We swell up. That's why, when we meditate, we see our faces becoming cheerful, happy, peaceful, right? You remember, Devi, the other day you were sitting in meditation room and you said, I was sitting there for an hour, and then when you came out, your face was glowing. Because for 1 hour you were just sitting in that quiet room and connecting with that energy.
Not swollen, right? Right. Yes, and I was also thinking of like the example of the magnifying lens, and like the magnifying lens allows, when you put it in between, say, some rubbish or paper even, and the sun, it has the ability to concentrate that sun's light and burn.
Burns the paper light.
So how would this analogy work here? I was thinking that probably they would love to hear
Yeah,
that.
so there is this experiment almost everyone has done, right?
Yeah, and
So when we connect with the divine energy, there are mainly 3 faculties of the soul: mind, intellect, and sanskaras that we talk about in Raja Yoga. So when I connect with the divine energy, then my intellect acts like a lens, and God's energy, God's light falls upon this lens, and then through the lens His energy goes deep inside into the sanskaras. And
sanskaras, we could say it as habits.
there is no exact
Fresh.
translation of this word sanskaras, but to make it simple, we can say that sanskaras it's like a recorder. Whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we feel, whatever we experience, everything, whatever we observe, everything gets stored in that memory bank, recorder.
And
most of
it
the
has seen
times-
so much negative.
Yeah, so much negativity has already been recorded there. So when we connect with that divine energy, then His energy, penetrates deep inside that recorder. And
Because yeah, that's a good thing, because most of the times we kind of work from that recorder level, right? And that's what happens, right? We have become creatures of habit, and so we spontaneously express what is in that recorder, and which is also,
without knowing, sometimes it just pops up.
and so we have recorded so much of negative that we express negative
Yeah.
spontaneously. And then we say, why did we do this? And then we have this remorse and guilt. And I was saying that last time, oh, I did it again, right? That kind of feeling, right? And so there is this kind of feeling of worthlessness that sets in,
Right.
and self-respect goes down further. It's kind of a very, very intense vicious cycle. So I was thinking that if this happens and we are able to purify our inner consciousness, the deepest level of our consciousness, the sanskaras, the memories, the habits, the personality,
So
This-
basically, it's the purification process. God is also called as a purifier. So this is how He purifies the soul. Whatever rubbish we have accumulated over time, you know, that rubbish is kind of destroyed because
I
of this.
wanted to ask you, you said God destroys, and I was wondering, is it really God or is it that we have to do it?
Yeah, actually, we have to make efforts, and then, it is said that God helps those who help themselves. Right? That is the statement that we all know.
Yeah, I wanted to
So-
clarify it because most of the times we end up
Uh-huh.
feeling entitled to somebody's help coming our way, and we don't make our effort. And
Yeah, so we have to take one step of courage, and then
so, in
you'll
other
see.
words, that magnifying lens example
Mhm.
of, to let sun's light fall on that paper, similarly, God's energy fall on our inner consciousness. We have to make that effort.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely, we have to make that effort.
So
See-
we are the ones
see-
who initiate.
Yeah, see,
the process.
to make it simple, sun is out there. Sun's rays are everywhere, right? But if I sit in this room and I don't make effort to go outside to receive the warmth of the sun, and then we keep blaming that sun is not doing anything. There is no sun. This is what people say, there is no God. Right? So we have to make some effort to receive that light, that love that He's continuously sending. Continuously. Continuously. If we don't make any effort, then we don't get it. And we keep crying then.
Yeah. I was also thinking, thank you for sharing this. And I was also thinking when we talk about this connection, and the example of, say, a solar dish, these photovoltaic things that they have, these panels. I was thinking that if I become that, not only will I charge myself, but I will also be available for others. And I was thinking that was one aspect we could
Right.
go a
So
little
it's
deep
like,
into.
when we begin to overflow, when a glass is full, and if you try to put more, then it is going to spill out. So similarly, when we connect to God, then we make ourselves so full, then even if we don't want, it spills over. So we are full with peace, we are full with love, we are full with happiness. So wherever we go, others will also become like that. They will feel our energy and they will also become happy.
Yeah.
So, God is only nice.
I was thinking if you could clarify a little
So
more
you're
of.
like God is peace and God is comfort. All these nice words. Is that all God?
What do you think?
I don't. I think God is all things. So I think God is angry too. I think any of that.
No, that's a good thought in itself, but you think of it, say you are a true parent and their children. A true parent is really not angry with the children. Parenting, for example, has become so negative nowadays, but true parent would not be, would mentor, would guide, would serve the children and help them grow. God doesn't get angry. God really doesn't. You know, to understand that God is pure consciousness, there has to be some entity that is 100% pure as a reference point for all of us to relate to.
So where do we get it from?
Yeah. So let me clarify that. This is a very good question. Actually, there is no entity as negativity. There's nothing as anger. There's nothing as pain. There's nothing as lie or anything like that. It is just a name that we came up with for an absence of the positive, the opposite of that. So, in other words, as I have mentioned in the past, there's nothing like darkness. Have you ever been able to touch anything dark? Any dark? There's nothing dark. Actually, black is not a color. You see, it is absence of color is black. So when you look at it from this aspect, there's nothing lie. There's no lie. It's just absence of truth.
is truth.
And God is truth, yes. So, anger, unpleasantness, unhappiness, all that doesn't really exist. It's only when we forget, it's only when we switch off this light, there is darkness. And all we have to do, I've said this before too. If say we switch off all lights in this room for a moment, I won't, don't worry. But if we do, and I give you a big pail, I give you shovel, I give you, I don't know, whatever tools you want, and say, please can you get rid of the darkness? There's no way you can. You try to bring a vacuum cleaner to suck out darkness? No, because there is no darkness. Am I making sense? It is just absence of light. And we have come up with a creative word to describe absence of goodness. All you have to do is to switch on the light and the darkness disappears. So we have forgotten our original state of being, which is peaceful, loving, kind, generous, gentle, so on and so forth. And because of that, that emptiness, that void, is what we call as unhappiness and anger and sadness and pain and suffering and selfishness and all those terms. But that's nothing there. It doesn't even exist. You see? And God always knows. God, the beauty about God is that He is always understanding of His true identity. He never forgets. We forget.
So that's why God is also known as Sadashiv.
Sadashiv.
Sada means always. He
Always
always
pure.
remembers. He always remembers that he is a soul. We forget that we are souls, but he always remembers.
So He remembers, and therefore He's always pure, and therefore that becomes the reference point for us to rise ourselves to. Make sense? All right. I thought you had something to ask us. Yeah.
And how do we forget?
Yeah. That's very good. So there is this very, very simple understanding to it. If you have a flashlight, or even if you drive a car, unless you have some mechanism of recharging your battery, which we always have as the car runs, the gasoline is consumed and all that, or say let's take an electric car, at the end of the day you have to plug it in to recharge. So if you don't, then after some time there is discharge that is happening. The battery loses its power. So when we start off on this journey of life, we are full, we are complete, whole. But as we live our lives, as we start rolling, the energy gets dissipated. And there is a point which we can call as the critical point. That's when our energy becomes so low that negativity actually sets in. Does that make sense?
Oh, now I relate.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to because I'm coming from science background, that entropy is like that.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
This is the law of entropy. The law of entropy means that anything that is in an ordered state, any system that's in an ordered state, thank you for saying that, now we can talk about that. So what does that say? That any system, if it starts off, and always will start off in an ordered way, and with time it will go into a more disordered state, spontaneously.
It's like a new house. House is new today, but over time it's going to get old.
Yes,
Right?
that's entropy.
Yeah,
You
that's
buy new clothes, and
Going
then
to-
second day it will be day 1 old, day 2 old, day 3 old. And then you can take the example of the ice cube. Ice cube is so much in perfect perfect state, ordered state. And as you take it out of the freezer and you put it on the table, spontaneously it will become water. Spontaneously it will become water vapor. So it goes from the most ordered to liquid, which is more disordered, to water vapor, which is completely disordered. But then there is the second element to law of entropy, which says that this disordered state can never become ordered unless
Acted upon.
Huh?
Acted upon.
acted upon from something out of the system. That system itself has no ways to regain its original state, period. Only when it is acted upon from a separate system or entity comes into that system can it go back to its natural state. Which means that the water vapor can never turn into ice unless the environment gets cold, like you are in Chicago, for example, right? or you take that water vapor and put it in the freezer. So here too, this whole system, this existence that we are in right now, was never like this before. Do you think the world is going kind of downhill? Right? Yeah, there is entropy happening. We can see it. And clearly, I mean, my dad, till the age of 65, had more teeth than I have now. Right? I mean, there is some entropy happening, clearly, you know. Their food was so much purer. Today, everything is GMO. Everything is, every now and then we hear of something crazy about food. Everything,
Even
right?
the diseases that we see,
Yeah.
we used to see in the adult age that we see in little children.
Correct. Even, you know, our books have become obsolete in medicine because so many new diseases are coming up that we haven't read about. Now we have to, new viruses suddenly showing up and so on. So we clearly can see it is kind of going down. But what does that mean? Say if you see a ball going down like this, what does that mean? At one point it was somewhere up. We were high up. We were elevated. We were pure, perfect, complete whole at some point. And from there the entropy started. The battery got discharged. We reached a critical point, right? In this sine wave, there is this point beyond which then we go to the nadir. And then we start going up. So can we say that this is the time,
This is the time of,
us beginning to go up?
that's why we say that this age is called a diamond age,
The blessed age, the most auspicious age.
auspicious age.
God blesses, makes us into diamonds,
And we had already talked about diamond consciousness before, right?
right? Some of you were here, right? Were you here at that time when we talked about diamond consciousness? That how carbon gets, you would relate with it very well, but so carbon gets converted into diamond under extreme pressure and extreme temperatures over a long period of time.
So the soul also has become like, that carbon, black, no purity left,
Worthless.
worthless, no value, nothing. So the soul now has to go through that process, just like carbon has to go through the process before it converts into that beautiful diamond. So the soul also has to go through that process where the soul has to connect with the divine energy that we call as the fire of yoga. Fire of yoga, that means that heat and that temperature we have to generate by connecting with the divine energy so that the soul gets transformed into its original form, pure form,
Diamond.
divine form, diamond, begins to sparkle.
And the value
Value
goes up.
goes up, yeah.
Right. So here I was thinking that we should do an experience for
Mhm.
everyone, that
Yeah.
one thing, but before that, now we go from connection to relationship. And because there's so much to talk about, and I thought we wrap up with the understanding that we can actually cultivate, actually forge a living relationship with God. And as if God is mine, my God. And I was thinking if you can
Sure.
talk about that.
So we want to have that experience.
But before that,
Okay.
yeah, at least.
So, how we are related to God, we can, if we want to experience that living relationship, we can have many different kinds of relationship with God. God, we say God Father. When we say God Father, we have to experience how it feels like to be His child. I'm a child of God who is my Father. My father, if I say he's my father, that means I have the authority. God is called as almighty authority. So as a father, he is giving me all his inheritance. I inherit what God has. So I should be able to experience his powers. As a father, I can get all the powers from him as a child. And as a mother, God is my mother also. As a mother, I can experience his unconditional love.
The nurturing,
Yeah, the
the
care,
comfort,
the care, the patience, that God has for me. Actually, we can say that God has actually adopted us now. We have been looking for him for so long. We were kind of, we can say that we were orphans.
Can we say re-adopted us?
Re-adopted,
Because we
yes.
were always
We-
children of God.
Yeah, but we
And-
forgot, and then we were looking for him. We were like orphans with no parents. And then God.
It's like the
Uh-huh.
scene that's coming in my mind is like, in movies they show that the children got
Separated
is
from their parents for a long time, and then one day something happened, and then they were able to
the
meet
children
with each
listen
other.
to this tune of the father,
Yeah.
and then there is some music, and then that's my dad.
Yeah. So that exactly is happening right now.
Okay,
You know?
yeah, true.
So we have to experience that, and what kind of emotions, the child has or the father has when both of them they meet after a long period of time. So this is that time, when we really have to experience God's love that we were searching for, the true love, true peace, true happiness that we won't be getting from anyone in this physical world. Because everyone is looking for it.
Everyone is a beggar.
Everyone
is empty.
Yeah.
And there's only one entity that's full,
That's
that's
full.
complete, and that's God. And so
So
instead of we trying to connect
Connect
to
with each other.
and
Now
trying
is
to
the time for us to connect with that energy, so that we can, we can take from him and then we can give it to others as
so
well.
relating helps more than connection, mere connection, is
Mhm.
because then there is less effort.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, sure.
Because connection can break, and
Mhm.
then if during the periods of broken connection, recharging is not happening. So if I can create a living relationship with God, then that connection will not be broken, right?
Yeah.
It'll become more constant, right?
Right. And that, because that is the only relationship that I have with God is eternal. That eternal relationship we have to cultivate right now, because we take so many births, but in every birth we have different father, different parents, but our relationship with God is the same in every birth. In every birth we are remembering God, we're looking for God, but we don't know who He is. But now is the time for us to connect, not just connect, but relate ourselves to Him
As a parent.
as a
And so there
parent.
would be that feeling of surrender, just like a small child knows
Mhm.
that the parent has whatever the parent says is good for me, and there is this feeling that I don't have to use too much of my own intellect. I can just let the parent do make decisions
Yeah.
for me.
And also, child is so relaxed when little child, when he goes in mother's lap or father's lap, then child feels very safe.
Protected,
Yeah,
safe.
so he is our protector.
Right.
So
So whatever food mother will make for me is going to be healthy for me. Whatever
Yeah.
school my dad sends me, it will be best for me, and so on and so forth.
yeah, so when you relate with him, then it is, we don't even have to think. He will think for us.
Beautiful. Yeah.
We don't have to think.
Yeah.
That
So
relationship is so beautiful.
we have done so much of thinking, right? We have become thinking machines, and right, and just our energy gets so much
We
drained.
overthink actually.
Yeah.
Overthink.
Yeah, it drains so much when we think too much. So if I can just say, God, you are my parent, and you make the decisions for me. I'll do the best I can based on what you have taught me and told me, that I have to embody your values, I have to express your qualities, and I have to move on and serve you, spreading your knowledge, spreading your peace, spreading your love, and that's it. You take care of the rest.
Yeah, and then when you become obedient, just like little children, when they obey whatever their father, their parents are saying, they obey, then what they get is blessings from the parents. So here comes the role of blessings. If you want more blessings from God, that divine energy, you be obedient. Whatever God is telling you, you do that.
So what is he telling us?
He's telling us the first and foremost thing that we have to practice is that we are souls. Because we've forgotten that we are souls. So we
are
have to
not the
practice.
bodies, we are not these relationships, we are not these roles, we are not these possessions. So detach them yourself, your intellect from them and
just connect with Him. That's the basic thing that we have to do right now.
Because we have gotten kind of
Off track.
lost,
Yeah.
right?
And when we start to receive blessing from Him, then that word that you said, Sat Chit Anand, Sat Chit Anand, Anand means bliss. Once we start to receive blessings from God, then we start to experience that bliss. God is the blissful one.
Right.
But in order to experience that bliss, we have to take His blessings. And the way to get blessings from Him is by following His directions.
It's interesting that bliss and blessings, blessing, they rhyme,
Right.
kind of close.
Right.
So if you get blessings, we can experience bliss. And so that's great. We've talked about parent, and I just thought, well, why don't we also take a couple of minutes to talk about different relationships, not just as a parent. Parent is, of course, this inheritance and all these things that we
Right.
receive. That's a beautiful experience. But what about other relationships? Can I look at God as
Yeah, God is my companion.
Companion,
Wherever you are going, you feel as if God is with you.
do you ever feel lonely? Right? Yeah, right? So if God is your companion, even if you have a physical companion, that companion can never be with you 24/7. It's just not possible. And even if that person is there, no, I'm not even saying that that person has their own negativities and problems and issues. Say you have the perfect companion you can think of, but still that person may or may not be there 24/7. That person will have to go to work, will have to go grocery shopping, so on and so forth, will not be there 24/7. But God can be with us 24/7 as a perfect companion.
He's the only one who can help us wherever we are. We just have to remember Him with true heart and clean heart, and we will get His help.
As my friend, as well as my brother, as my sister,
Whatever
as my
relationship,
teacher.
yeah, especially whatever relationship you are lacking in your life, you can experience that relationship with the divine energy.
Yeah.
with God.
For you, in 19 years back, and just before this, few years before you came to this meditation, you lost
I
your
lost
dad.
my father, and I felt that I had that kind of emptiness inside, that I don't have any father, and I was missing that relationship in my life.
Because you're very close to your father. You were the
Yeah.
youngest in the family, and so
Right.
yeah.
So then when I started this meditation, and then I after some time I didn't have that kind of emptiness anymore, because
Now
this
I've gotten a father who
spiritual-
can never die. He's eternal.
yeah,
Yeah.
that eternal connection, relationship,
Yeah.
it really helps a lot.
So I think now we could take a little bit of
Yeah.
break and do that meditation experience for all. And before that, if anyone has something to ask, say, comment, and then we can go into the meditation experience. And I want everybody to have that snack, the dinner as well. Right? So we talked a lot of different things, and I thought we could take a moment to just see if people got it or not, or what did you get, or what would you like to explore more, understand more, or
I was wondering, I was thinking about what you said. Do I understand what you were saying? Do I understand that if you were to see God as both good, as angry, and as well as loving, but angry too? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, because you speak so much of becoming one with God.
Yeah.
So how do you become one with God do
Yeah,
I come
good.
one with this chair without being the chair?
But you can't be the chair. You're not the chair, right? You're sitting on the chair. So they each everything has is an entity in itself, and so we are kind of images of God, and sort of, I like to, I don't want to get too deep into this, and that's perfectly fine too, that if you feel you're God too, but in a way we are reflections of God, we're images of God, we are, but,
we have
Right,
the
you're
qualities
saying
of God.
You're saying you're a reflection.
oh,
of
right,
God.
right, but yeah, that's like almost the same thing, but in a way understanding that God is a separate entity too, in a way that God is the ever pure entity, ever pure, ever perfect, wholesome entity, which never gets defiled, and we, the souls, are points of light, energy as well. We do get into this defiling mode, and then we purify ourselves through our reconnection with God. That makes sense?
So you were saying that, if I understand, you were saying that because human beings have good and bad, and if we're one with God, then God must have good and bad as well. Is that what you were saying?
Right now, I'm understanding.
Yeah. But that's okay. That's also right. I mean, yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I'm not trying to change you. I'm not.
No,
you
no,
know,
no, that's
but I'm just
perfect.
trying to get
That's
the understanding of
Yeah, yeah,
how you be one and not.
right. Yeah.
One thing that I want to just mention to everybody is that having contact with Shivratri is always very amusing, because I had the opportunity to have dinner at their home recently, because I'm working on being a vegetarian now. So they said, we'll help you out, come here, eat with us. Thank you. And then he told me something that, again, was there. He said, I talk to God all the time. He's my companion. And I said, yeah, I understand that as a concept. I come from Brazil, Catholic. Big time, I get the concept. To go to the reality of something is different. So in his case, he told me, I talk to Baba, God, and say, how much sugar should I put in my tea? And I'm thinking, I never ask God how much sugar I should put. The difference is that he is with God all the time. All the time. And then I'm thinking, I can choose. And that's why I left that night. I can choose. It's a choice. It's my choice. I'm going through some grieving and hurting and separation from someone I really care about. And I was thinking about what you just said, because I grew up with the concept of God is loving, but he can be angry too. He can be really mad. And then I thought, okay, I know the anger. And then I thought, but wait a minute. I went through a really rough year, and now I'm getting to the other side of it and say, well, I'm growing, and I'm being exposed to things that are making me a better person. And I'm not saying, oh, I feel like I'm a nicer person. I am a nicer person. I'm working and giving to more people. I'm volunteering and helping people who are hurting, because I was hurting so much. I feel that I need to help other people now. I like myself better now. So now I'm looking at what happened to me as a gift. So I think that what he tells me, it is not that it is this and that, if one is just the absence of the other. In my case, what I understand from what he's saying is that it was the absence in me of understanding of what it was that God wanted for me. He wanted me to be a fuller expression of who I can be as a spiritual being. So when you say that you're in the process of switching to being spiritual, I'm with you. I'm high-fiving you right there. Because my pain, it was necessary for me to get understanding that the hurt was necessary for me to connect with people now who are really hurting, suicidal and things of the like, with compassion, with empathy, because I know the pain and I can relate to them. And I'm interacting with people from other countries, and I have to tell you things that happen that I'm just not expecting. I'm talking to someone from Pakistan, and I'm thinking, this is a young man, and he's angry, and I have all those prejudices and preconceptions in relation to young men in Pakistan who's angry. And in the conversation, because of what I'm going through, he tells me, do you know really what I would like to do? My dream? I want to shake Oprah's hand. What? As a young man, he saw a show of Oprah, and it made a difference in his life. And this is his dream. So I'm realizing that all this stuff that I don't understand, and I say, God hurt me. God must be angry with me and he's punishing me, was lack of clarity. And the clarity is coming to me, and now I'm grateful. And I have a friend who said, you should have a gratitude jar. I can't have a jar that's big enough.
Right.
Because everything that happens is making me a better person. So there is no jar big enough for me to be grateful to God. So clarity is what is bringing to me that understanding that it is my choice to have God as my friend. And I started saying, can I put just a little bit of sugar? Because I'm trying to cut sugar too. Just a little bit, just a little bit. It's a choice. So I think that what I'm getting from both of them is that clarity that I have asked God in no uncertain terms. God, please give me clarity to have the strength to go through what I'm doing and what I'm going through and hurting and everything. And I think from them I'm getting that clarity.
Because you're making effort, that's why you're getting the clarity.
Thank you.
You know,
Yeah.
that was a
Yes.
beautiful
Congratulations.
experience that you shared.
And thank you for sharing your rich sharings. We enjoy the way you share.
Because you
It come-
really you want to bring about the changes in your life, so you're making true
Yeah.
honest efforts.
Yeah,
And
the honesty is so
yeah,
obvious.
and Lord is pleased with those who have honest hearts. That's why you're getting the results also.
That's what you're saying, the innocent Lord, because he, as soon as you show your honesty, he totally wants
He,
to give
he
you.
actually surrenders to those children who are truly honest. God surrenders.
Wonderful. So thank you again. So just that slowly see, you will find that a very beautiful experience as you start, making him as your companion. What do I do? Oh, 10 people are coming. How do I get everything organized? How do I make the house clean? How do I do this? And Baba, God, so we use the word Baba. Baba, thank you for saying that word too, because Baba means father, like that close, my father, my God, my father. So that kind of thing, oh, come on, let's do it. Let's vacuum together. Because alone you can get tired. Alone you can make mistakes. But if
you get the light from God, and that makes you light.
yeah, you feel light. You don't feel tired. It's like two people taking care of the job. So if you, God, Baba, I'm going to put these potatoes in the oven. Make sure that they don't get burnt. Right? Make sure I don't forget. So these kind of things, when we keep doing that, of course, I'm not saying God is really going to come. God has better things to take care of than my potatoes. But it's just that feeling with God. That togetherness with God. It makes the whole experience very lively. And honestly, actually, it's almost like immediately around 1 hour, 15 minutes, you get that thing. It's almost like God is touching your intellect, saying, hey, did you check on the potatoes? Oh, yeah, thank you.
So give all your responsibilities to Him, and then you make yourself light and free.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of that relationship.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I have just one more thing to say.
Of course.
When you said the gift of the negative things of the poisonous fruit, I have been thinking about, it is a gift. When what I'm doing, when I'm offering God a vice, I'm releasing.
Yeah.
And I'm giving to Him and said, I no longer need this. So I'm giving to you because that is my gift to you. My releasing of that before was hurting. Because God's my Father. He does not want me hurting myself. When I give up a vice and I give that to God, that is a gift to God.
Correct, because I've realized that it's not serving. See, that's a very beautiful thing that you said, because what happens in most people, in most situations, is we have gotten very attached to our vices too, and it's an addictive process. We call it as learned helplessness and many other terms, but it's almost addiction to our problems, addiction to our vices, addiction to our negativity. It gives us that high. Anger gives us that high, and pain gives us that high. So many times we don't want to even release it because we have identified ourselves with that sort of pain. And I can go on and on, but right now it's not the time. But because of giving it to God, Baba, it's yours. Then you're
So that
releasing
was
it.
about the offering, but another thing that people, devotees, they do on that day is fasting. So they don't eat anything, they don't give any, maybe food or water to their body. That is good. In a way, they are kind of cleansing their physical body. But true fasting, spiritually speaking, true fasting means that you don't give your mind any waste thought. Negative thought, unnecessary thought. So you keep your mind away from all those stuff, bad things. Fast. That is true fasting.
And I want to say a choice. Very good. Thank you for sharing that word as well. Choice. It's my choice whether I want to still go and consume those negative, unnecessary thoughts, or I want to consume positive. Each one has to make that determination for himself or herself.
And then, you will make the right choice as long as you are connected to that divine energy.
But even before that, the choice also, whether I want to connect to the divine or not, is
Yeah.
incumbent
So some
on me.
effort you have to make, and
Yeah.
then,
Right.
then you get
Yeah.
help from God.
So it's all linked.
Right.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we can do some meditation experience. Shall I dim the light? Everybody likes that dimming of light. Yeah, okay.
That light is so much nicer.
Yeah.
So let's together make that divine connection and gently move towards experiencing that beautiful relationship with the divine. So before experiencing that divine, let's prepare ourselves for this beautiful journey. Gently turn on the switch of this awareness that I am a spiritual being, a sparkling star, shining like a diamond. Bring your attention to the center of your forehead. And feed yourself with this enlightening thought that I am a being of peace. truly a peaceful being. With this awareness, make yourself very light. And allow yourself to experience God's light that is falling upon you. God is the ocean of light, ocean of peace, ocean of love. I, the soul, am a child of that being, the Supreme Being, the seed who has the knowledge of the entire world. So open your heart to Him and release whatever you have been holding on to. God is there to accept you as you are. This is your time to experience God's love. God's loving light is penetrating the soul. Embracing the soul. You are very safe in God's company. Feel God's love, God's light. Empower yourself with His loving light. This is the time to recharge reconnect, to rejuvenate. And as you begin to receive God's love, God's powers, God's light, you begin to feel full and complete. And you begin to overflow God's energy. And God's energy is now flowing through you and reaching out to others. You are contributing in God's task of transforming the world. By spreading God's pure energy, God's pure love, God's pure light. And in return, you are receiving God's blessings. And then you begin to experience that blissful state. So hold on to this beautiful experience. And now gently bring yourself back to the awareness of this moment. Om Shanti.
Thank you for that experience.